Hey guys, John here, Common Sense Outdoors. Welcome to part 2 of how to turn your knife into a survival kit. If you are just jumping in and missed part 1, make sure to go back and catch up with us on that. We're just getting ready to string on our fishing line, 20-pound main line. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and stick the fishing kit in there now. Whoopsie. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to knock you around. Lots of tape. Now we'll start the fishing line. 20-pound braided. You probably already know, but it's definitely a good idea to have a stronger main line than you do a leader. So your line would come off your rod down to your swivel. You'd put any, if you're using a bobber or some kind of float or sinkers. I'm trying to make a mess. You put those above the swivel, which is hooked to your heavy line. I am getting tangled up here, guys. Sorry about that. And then your monoline or your light line leader goes from the swivel to your hook. If you are to break off, get snagged, hook into a monster fish, whatever the case may be, you only lose part of your leader and your hook, because your line's going to break at that light line before it breaks at your main line. So you get to keep your swivel, your weights, your bobber, your float, whatever you're using, and you have extra hooks, so you're good to go. Did you see this mess I'm dealing with here? I did good. Why braided line? Less memory. I could wind it up, even if I was winding around something tighter than this knife sheath. When I unspool it, it's not going to be all curly-cued like monofilament line will be. If you do wind it, if you've seen how the 10-foot spool I put in the kit of 6-pound mono was all coiled nice and evenly, so there's no kinks. It should maybe curl a little bit if it's in there for a long time before it ever gets used, but it should straighten out pretty well because it's not wrapped tightly around something, and it's all even. Wow, I have made a mess. This is going to turn into a video of how to untangle your fishing line here in a second. I feel like I got a backlash on my bait cast drill going on here or something. If you've ever done that with a bait cast drill, you know what I'm talking about. Thank goodness I don't do it much anymore, but does happen. It's not any fun. Alright, we're good to go. Let's get the rest of that on there. So I talked a little bit about the eyelet screws and the L screws and how I did a survival fishing kit video a little bit ago, a few days ago, so I can't remember. But if you haven't seen that, check that out, because the ability to make yourself a fishing rod and reel is huge. I would like a little bit more tape than that on there. You know, and the kits that everybody's going to with the hand fishing kits and the PVC pipe, and how you can reel the line around the PVC and it all tucks inside. Not to knock them, but the reason you have to have 30-pound line on those is because you have no ability to play a fish. Yeah, you have something to reel it on. You have something to reel your line on, but you have no way to play the fish. So any jerk that fish does with his head is directly put into the line. So if you try to fish one of those with a 6-pound mono line, you're going to break that fish off if it's a fish of any size. Okay guys, tin foil is going to go in there. Here's our quart bag and our water tabs. Tabs expire April of 2016. Good for 4 years. And I'm putting the bag in so that it's going to end up being upside down when you're wearing your belt, just in case you do get dumped out of a canoe or something and it gets water. You know, it's a sealed Ziploc bag, but point it down just in case there's water gets in there somehow. It'll find its way out, hopefully. I think we are ready to put our saw blade on. I'll go ahead and tape that on there. You know, if you can think of something I missed that you'd like to have in here, there's still some space. Ended up with a gap there. Could have put some extra cotton balls or something in there. And there's a few more feet of tape. Like to have that down just a little bit further. I'll go put a little bit of tape around the top because I didn't get it down as far as I wanted it. You know, most of this is meant to be an emergency situation. It just stays on there until that situation arises and you need it. but you could get to the saw blade if you wanted to use it. You could just pull this back or cut that tape off right there. The way that sheath is in there, it would pull out the top. So if you cut that down right there, if you wanted to leave it that way, you risk a little bit of whether or not it's going to stay in there. I don't think it would fall out, but and then you'd also have to consider about how if you wanted to be able to make it so you could access it, you'd have to think about how you're going to wrap it. We're getting ready to wrap this all with our paracord right now. Okay. To start our wrap, I'm just going to bring a loop down to the bottom and then bring it back up, just like that. You can see that. And we're going to start wrapping as tight as we can. Get that on there like that. So my first wrap is already going over that tag in. And then before we get too far, on this Mora sheath, if you can see the way it's got this dip right here for the finger guard, this side's great with this thumb spot. When you're pulling your knife, it holds that cord great. This side is curved a little bit and it's going to want to pull up and off like that. So here's what we're going to do to fix that. Got a little piece of some more of the bank line. We're just going to go around that. I've just put a simple loop in it. We're going to go through that loop. Okay. We're going to try to get that loop right there at that little dip. Let's make sure we got our setup here on this side right. Almost to the end with that loop, just to the top. And okay, so we're just going to leave that right there for now and pretend it doesn't matter, except for we're going to pull it down and go over it. Let's get a couple wraps on there. Slide that up tight. Slide our loop over right to that dip. And then what we're going to do is going to wrap this next one again. Actually, you know what, guys, I got that knot right there. I'm going to go a couple more wraps to get past that. Okay. Now, just go around. Loop that around one time. And that'll give us a little bit of leverage to pull down on. Pull that down a little tighter first. There we go. Let's go ahead and half hitch that. You see how we've pulled that down a little bit with that bank line, just to make sure that doesn't try to slide off on us. Then it just becomes a matter of wrapping this all the way down, trying to keep it as tight as I can. Do a couple wraps, push it up, make sure it's all tight. Keep pulling that loop like that. And we're going to do another wrap on that, just to make sure it doesn't pull out of there. Sorry if you couldn't see that. I was just trying to get it all up there tight. Part takes a little while. I have to make a three-parter out of this at the speed I'm going. Let's put one more wrap of that bank line. It just kind of holds the wraps the paracord together. If every now and then you put a loop around that. If you can see, we started right there. You can see that bank line right there. Went down a little ways, wrapped it around here, 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 and wherever that last one just was, right there. Oh, sorry about that. Just trying to get a little extra around the bottom down here. It's not cooperating. Maybe if we do half hitches. Alright, I like that. Now if I can get it through that loop. Throw my needle on the ground. Alright, let's go the easy route. I should have made my loop a little bit bigger, but we'll go this route. I'm just taking this big blunt needle. Just heat that up. Put that together a little bit. And we should be able to fish it right through there. Maybe. There it goes. And we might be able to just pull that back off. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do is I want this to loop around the end of that saw. So I'm going to put a knot in this. And I'm trying to get this around the saw that's sticking out the base there. Just like that. Okay. So now our tag goes through that loop that runs all the way back through here. So we should be able to pull on this and tighten that other end up. I don't know if you can see this knot right here should tighten up when I pull that. Okay, we're gonna lose that. And I had about 19 feet of paracord there, almost 19 feet. I was figuring to get 18 on there, but I wanted a little extra just in case. And we're cutting off about 2 inches, so there's a little over 18 feet. If we singe that, and the other end where I accidentally cut it off, should have pliers out here instead of dikes. Right. This is all, this tag in here is all held by itself. It's compressed under all those wraps. It's really not going to go anywhere. Just melting the end so it doesn't fray. Okay. Now, we don't have much left, but well, let's put on this. Actually, you guys, these are actually really tight Ranger bands. I probably should have a bigger tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off and get these on, because it's going to take me a while to get those on there, and then I'll come back and show you how we finish it up. So I guess now there's going to be a part 3. Thanks for watching 1 and 2. Check out 3 if you want to see how it all looks when it's done, and thanks for watching.